Shit never is as bad as it seems. Fuck a lifespan, this is just one long dream.
How's it going, everyone? It's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube. I just finished eating a lime. Yes, a lime. I love eating citrus fruits, okay? But just the thought of cutting up a lemon and a lime and just eating the entire thing, other than the peel, of course, is just so delectable. But nonetheless, it's Sunday, so I'm on time with a story time for you guys. And, today I think I'm going to tell you guys about the story of the Path of Heroes, okay? Now, for those of you that don't know, I used to live in a part of the town where there was this path. Now, this path was an infamous path that only real brave men could walk down, hence why I'm calling it the Path of Heroes. Now, this path used to go by a different name. They used to actually go by call it the R word path, and I'm not talking R as in terms of intelligence. I'm talking R in terms of sexual assault, okay? Now, I'm going to give you the history of why this term was called the R word path. Now, before I moved into the neighborhood, one of the local kids there, told me about an incident on this particular path. He didn't tell me how long ago it was. He didn't tell me, who it happened to or if it was on the news or anything. But on this path in the woods, there was a white house, okay? Now, apparently this white house was infamous for some pretty strange activities. One of which, he claimed that he had seen this with his very own two eyes. Now, he said that as he was walking through this path one day, he had seen a woman come outside and run outside of the house butt-ass naked. And it spooked him at first, but he was also a little, excited, he admitted. And he then proceeded to say that this woman then called him over to come and join her inside the home. And as she was calling him to, come inside the home, there was a man in the window, he said, looking out at him from there was the second story. And, he said that he got scared and he ran the opposite way that he came from. And he ran back to his house and told his mom. And when they went back up there, the lady said that she had no idea what he was talking about or whatever, and nothing happened. And then, when he told me that, and I'm not making this shit up. I'm trying to recall it because I'm thinking of it of like trying to pull it from memory on the spot. Because when I do these story times, I just kind of do them in the moment. I don't type scripts for my story times. I just kind of just go with the flow. So, when he told me this, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of intrigued because, there's naked ladies walking around in the woods. Then shit, I want to see it. But then it wasn't until he told me this next part of the story that it kind of got me a little scared. So he was telling me how one example, how this I don't remember if it was a girl or a guy, that they were walking through that same path, past that same white house on that path, and that they had actually encountered the same woman. And this woman, they essayed that person. And that person actually ended up moving out of the neighborhood away from that path because they told their mom. And I don't know if they pressed charges. I don't know. I was like fucking 13, 14 at the time. So, I wasn't really big into the news or local lore in my neighborhood. So I wasn't just going to the library and looking this shit up. I just kind of took it how it was. You know how it is when you're a young adolescent. You just kind of take everything at face value. So he told me that. And that's when it kind of got me. I was like, oh shit. So this path, this R word path is a real fucking... This is the real deal. Like, there's people actually getting essayed up there. I'm not going through there. Now, this path, I'm going to try to make it as visible as possible. So, there was an old elementary school that was near that path. It was actually in front of the path, okay? So, there was a big field that was once where the elementary school was. So, we're going to act like, because the building's not there no more. It hasn't been there for almost 12 years. But hypothetically speaking, for you guys to get a better understanding, I'm going to explain the layout. So there's the field that the school was on. On the right side of the school, if you're on the left side of the school, if you're looking at it, because it was on top of a hill. If you're looking at it from the hill, The left side of the school, there was a playscape. Behind the playscape, there was a set of stairs that you could go up that led to another field. I didn't go to this elementary school, but the kids that did, the locals kids that went to that elementary school, told me that that was like the like, you know, when you have field day and stuff like that at school, and you guys go out and do like the beanbag race and other fun activities like the water balloon fights. That was the field that they would go up and use that on. Now, in that field, there was the path. It was the concrete path, the R-word path, or as I like to call it now, the path of heroes. Now, when they first showed me that path, I was fucking spooked, okay? And if you watch my Why I'm Afraid of Minecraft, that was the same path that I would walk down to when I would walk to school. I had to walk through that path to get to, to walk to school, and I would have to walk through some more woods. But nonetheless, that path was part of my daily trek to school. And my first time seeing it, I was intrigued, but I was also fucking terrified, because you guys just told me that there's some weird people living over by this path, and all of a sudden you want to go take me by it. If there was no SA going on, I would have definitely liked to see some free yitties, if you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, I don't think that's not what was going to happen. So, we walked down the path. It was daytime, and now that I'm thinking back about it, I'll explain it in the future. But of course, the path was pretty short. It was only like maybe at most a 5-minute walk through that path, and then you're on literally a main road. And then, so it kind of didn't make sense geographically for people just to be performing heinous acts so close to the main road of society like that. But nonetheless, I took it at face value and believed it. Now, one night, I'm just gonna jump to the night that something happened, right? I was talking to my little brother, and at the time I was, like I said, I was 14, so my little brother had to be about like 8 years old, right? And we were riding our bikes around town, and I was telling him about how, because the side of town that we were on, we could either take the long way home and ride our bikes up the hill, or we could go down our word path and take the short, because it was a shortcut from that main road to my house. Literally, what would have been a 25-minute bike ride gets turned into a 5-minute bike ride just by taking this one path. And it's getting late. It was dark, but it wasn't too dark. It was like dusk. So it's starting to get kind of dark. The sun isn't in the sky, but it's like giving off that like cool sunset glow. But when you go in the fucking woods, it's dark as shit outside. So I'm telling him, here, we could just go down our word path, and, we could quickly get through there and get back home. My little brother, because I told him the tales of our word path, he's kind of scared, but I'm telling him, hey, I walked through this path to get to school, and so far I haven't seen anything, and I don't believe the rumors. I'm starting not to believe the rumors. If anything, at most, the creepiest encounter I've had on that path was one day I was walking, there's two. One day I was walking to school, and there was a family of fucking deer just sitting on that field, that second field that they used to play the water balloon and beanbag race and stuff like that, or the potato sack race, my apologies. And one of the deer was a fucking buck. That dude had big ass antlers, and he walked over to me. I swear on everything, that deer walked over to me. Like, he was probably like, what do they say for COVID, like 6 feet away from me, and he just stared at me. And I just kind of looked at him. He looked at me, and then he went back to his family. Craziest thing. The second time was I was walking through there with my buddy Eric, and we caught our friend Michael, doing the deed with this girl. Her name was Allie. I'm just going to drop name bombs. He was just doing the deed with Allie in the middle of the fucking field. And we're like, is that Michael? Hey, yo, Michael. And his neck snaps over to us. He's like, oh! I'm like, hey, buddy, what the fuck are you doing in these woods? Nonetheless, two craziest encounters I had in those woods at the time. So, telling my little brother, I'm like, listen, man, we got nothing to worry about. It's completely safe. That was wrong. So we're riding our bikes. We were actually, no, I'm lying. We got off our bikes and pushed them through the path, because it was one of those old roads where probably because it was blocked off. So I'm pretty sure cars were able to go through there once upon a time, but they blocked it off and made it so cars can't do that or whatever. So the path was really bumpy, cracked, fucked up. The pavement wasn't super good, so I didn't want to ride our bikes through it because we can't see, and we hit a pothole and hurt ourselves. So I was like, we're gonna just push our bikes through the path. Takes like 5 minutes. We'll be home quick. Now, as we're walking through the path, we hear like rustling in the leaves. Now, I hear it, but I just kind of brush it off thinking, it could be an animal. It's nighttime. We're in the woods. Could be anything out there. Then my brother, he's like, do you hear that? He brings it to my attention. Me being the big brother, I'm like, okay, if you're hearing stuff, you're getting scared. Now I got to kind of put on my big boy shoes. So I'm like, okay, nah, I do hear something. So I'm like, here, let's just walk faster. We're almost home. We get to about the end of the path where the field is. And where the staircase is at, there's the staircase you could take down, but there's also this like part of the hill that slopes down, and it's super ruggedy and bumpy. And we get to that part. And like, you ever watch the movie Super 8? I know it's a pretty old shitty movie. But in part of that movie, there was this guy working on the electrical wires, and the monster just runs out and makes this like woogie 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 noise, like, and just kills the dude. And I swear to everything, we're walking down the path, and something comes running at us out of those fucking woods, making that same noise. Me? Dude, I hopped on my bike and fucking left my brother in the dust. I'm so sorry if you watch this video. I was so scared, man. I just hauled ass, man. I got on the bike, rode down, and jumped off the bike and ran to my fucking house. I got my uncle. My brother, he managed to keep up. He was right behind me. But at that time, it was either me or you. And I wasn't even thinking about sacrificing nobody. I just wanted to get the fuck out of those woods. So I go to my uncle, and I'm like, yo, somebody's in those woods, and they just fucking try to chase us. So my uncle's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that fucking path up there, fucking R-word path. There's really somebody in those fucking woods, and they try to get us. And, we left the bikes up there, and I need you to come with us so we can go get the bikes back. Because I was fucking scared. So my uncle, he's like, he lets out that, like, sigh. Because now he's got to get dressed and go up to this fucking path. So we make our way back up to the path. The bikes are there, but there's no one around. Like, no one. It's dead silent. The bikes are still how we dropped them when we ran. And he's like, dude, there's nobody up here. You guys are just a bunch of fucking, guys, a bunch of brats. And me and my brother are like, no, man, there was definitely somebody that tried to chase us out of these fucking woods. Like, I swear without a fucking doubt. We heard something rustling in the leaves while we were walking through. And just as we get to the exit, something literally ran out at us. Now, I don't know if it was a person. I don't know if it was an animal. There were fisher cats in the area. Like I said, there were deers. They said there were coyotes, but I never encountered a coyote in that part of the town. So I can't say for a fact if it was a coyote or a fox, but it could have been a fisher cat because I've seen one before, and it could have been a deer. But from the noise that it made and the way it ran at us, even though I didn't see it, but I heard it, it sounded like humanoid. It could have been a fucking Sasquatch for all I know. But since then, I was always terrified to go through those woods unless I was walking with someone. And eventually, I got old enough. I was, this was like a couple years, like 2 years ago. I was taking my new group of friends through those paths. And I was just kind of telling them that, before I used to get really scared walking through this path because I had some encounters. I had other encounters on here. I was telling them about the house. And I was like, dude, this path has some history to it. And we decided, because they were like, you were so brave to be able to face this path, walking to school by yourself and doing these other things. They're like, this isn't our word path anymore. This is the path of heroes. Because it takes a manly man, to look this path in the eyes in the fucking deep dark woods and just be like, you know what? I gotta go through this to go home. And ever since that day, when they said that to me, I gave myself the biggest pat on the back and I was like, you know what? That is the path of heroes. And that's how the path of heroes came to be. We were always really good at naming little landmarks in my town. I don't know if you guys do that. But we also had this thing called Deerhead Mountain, and that's a story that I made on one of my old YouTube channels. But maybe one day I'll explain it again for you guys. But nonetheless, if you ever come across a path in the woods that has some naked ladies shaking her yitties all over the place, then I would advise staying away from it. But nonetheless, it's your man Lost Disciple, the voice box of the underground of YouTube, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of Storytime. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Peace out.
Shit never is as bad as it seems. Fuck a lifespan, this is just one long dream.